Hey gang, Craig Ripley here. Welcome once again to Living Off the Slab. Now, right now, it's the day after Thanksgiving 2018, so I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving with your family. I know I did. But being that it is now the coldest Thanksgiving on record up here in New England, I'm getting a little antsy already to get back out on the road, at least start thinking about getting back on the road for next year. And in order to keep my sanity, I start playing around with different ideas for packing, for example. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So what I want to talk about is two different methodologies for packing. And particularly, I'm going to be talking about packing your clothing, because that's pretty much what I do with these kind of bags. Right? This is a Sea to Summit dry bag or compression sack. It's 100% waterproof, and you put your clothing in here and then compress it all down into a nice tight space. And so that's typically what I've been using. I'll take one bag here for my on-bike clothing, like all of my base layers, and then I'll use a different color bag, typically for all of my off-bike clothing. That way, it's easy for me to know which bag I need to get into and stay organized. First, let's talk about these Sea to Summit dry sacks. Now, first of all, I guess I should mention cost on these things. These are not inexpensive, right? They are a pretty high quality product. They are 100% waterproof. And a 13-liter bag like this one goes for around $22, and an 8-liter bag, which is what this is, goes for about 20 bucks. Right? And you can get them in all kinds of different colors, which again, for me, makes life a little easier, because then I can color code my clothing. I can put my off-the-bike clothing in this blue bag. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this stuff in the blue bag, and then I can put my on-bike clothing, all my base layers and things, in the orange bag. Again, keep things nice and organized. Let's start off with this off-bike clothing, and it's going to go into this smaller 8-liter bag because it doesn't take as much space up. All right, so I found the easiest thing to do is basically just grab these articles of clothing and then just basically start stuffing them in there. You don't need to be neat about it at all. In fact, it's easier and you can get it smaller if you're not neat about it. Like for these pants, right, I usually just grab them and then just kind of, stuff them in, right, like this, right, like you would a sleeping bag, for example. And again, the same with the shirt. You're going to just grab it and you're just going to stuff it all in. Now, you don't really care whether any of this stuff gets wrinkled, right? You're on a motorcycle trip, right? So who cares? You just stuff it in there, and now you're going to compress it down and get it as small as you possibly can. Okay, so now let's do all of my base layers. That is the clothing I'm going to wear while I'm riding my bike. So I got my shorts, my shirts, and my socks, and we're going to stick them all into this 13-liter dry sack. Oh, and one tip here is that I organize things a little bit differently than I do for my off-bike clothing, right? Because I'm going to be wearing this usually as a set, so I'll take an undergarment for my underwear, I'll take a shirt, and I'll take a pair of socks, and I'll stick them all together on one layer. Right? Then I'll take the next one and make another layer, and the next set and make a third layer. That way, when I go to get it out, I've got all three garments right there handy for me. So, okay, now I've got it all stuffed in this dry sack, and so this is what it looks like. I've got my off-bike clothing here, my on-bike clothing here, stuffed into these two dry sacks. So let's take a look then at how it fits into the panniers. And you can see that you can put your one bag down at the bottom of the pannier, another one up here on the top, and it fits in nice and easy. If you choose, you can fit them up on top of each other this way. Again, and you have plenty of room to put other stuff in here. Before we now take all of that clothing and stick it into these packing cubes, I want to tell you about the price on these things. I got these off of Amazon, and I believe they were $25 or $30 for the entire set. And there was 4 of these, what they call medium-sized bags, and then there's one smaller bag that is made to be used with cosmetics and things. So these are going to be much more cost-effective. However, they're not waterproof. Okay, so now let's take a look at the packing cubes. So I took all those same articles of clothing and I stuck it in 2 packing cubes. And the way that I did that, I had to organize things a little bit differently. I had to take 1 cube and make it for my lower body, and then another cube and make it for my upper body. If I tried to organize it the same as I did for those 2 bags, it just wouldn't work with 2 cubes. So in order to do that, I had to change things up a little bit. Now, in addition, you also have to be a little bit more organized than you do with those stuff sacks. Right? I can just take all this stuff and stuff it on down in those sacks and compress it down, and it really doesn't matter. And I don't care whether it gets wrinkled or not. I'm riding a motorcycle out on the road. But when you're using these cubes, well, you have to be a little bit more organized and a little neater. Right? You have to fold your clothing to fit into the cubes. Right? You could roll it up as well and get it in here. I found that either way it doesn't really make any difference. Holding it flat I thought was a little bit easier, at least for me. So you have to fold it, you have to be more precise with how you put things in here in order for it to fit. So taking a look at how this fits into the panniers, you can see here that both of these packing cubes fit on one end of the pannier. I have some space, about a hand's width of space on the top of the packing cubes, and then I have a good amount of space here at the end as well. All right, so again, I've got a good amount of space left over for all kinds of other stuff. So after all that, now, which one of these methods is better? Well, I don't know, they have their pros and cons, right? I mean, these are a little bit more expensive, but again, they are waterproof. And while I've never had my panniers leak, it is possible, right? So this will give you an extra layer of protection. Also, these don't have zippers on them, right? Zippers tend to wear out, they tend to break over time, right? And these don't. I've had these bags since about 2011 or 2012, and I'm still using the same ones over and over again. Again, they just don't really wear out. I'm using them like I do anyway. So, again, which one is better? I think it just depends upon your needs. These, if you're the kind of person that likes to have your clothing neat, not have wrinkles in it, well, these bags are definitely going to be the way to go. Because if you stuff them in here, well, they're going to get wrinkled. There's just no 2 ways about it. But if you don't care, right, again, it just depends upon whether you wanted that added waterproof protection. In the end, it's all the same amount of stuff. It might be a slightly different form, but it's still going to be about the same volume of stuff. So what am I going to do? Which one am I going to use? Well, I'll probably keep using my dry sacks because I like that little extra layer of waterproof protection. Right, and I can compress them down a little bit smaller, and I think that I actually have a little bit more usable space using the bags. So thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, please consider supporting this channel. In the description of this video, you'll find several ways in which you can help to support the channel and keep these videos coming. Just pick the ones that make most sense to you. Whatever it is, we greatly appreciate all the help. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.